Okay, I think you're going to like this video. This is going to help you get to the root cause of why you're not able to manifest what you want. What we're going to uncover is I'm going to give you a specific exercise that you can perform yourself. This is an exercise I use in one-to-one sessions with clients where I bounce it back and bounce it back to find the resistance that is stopping you from, number one, believing that your intention of what you want to manifest is actually true and being able to hold that every single day. And number two, also having it manifest. Okay, this is called a belief building session. It's slightly different if you do it on your own, but the principle is the same. So here's what you need. You need to have an intention of what you want, right? A goal, something that you are trying to manifest. So if that is a better relationship, intimate relationship, if it is financial freedom, if it is growing your business, if it is to feel more confident, something that you have as an outcome that you want to create, because you're going to need that to give this direction to allow this resistance to come up. You know, my YouTube channel, my coaching is all about dissolving the subconscious resistance. If you cannot dissolve the subconscious resistance, all the stuff you're trying to put in, all the visualizations, the affirmations, the scripting doesn't get you anywhere. Okay, and you're in this constant battle. And if you feel like you're swamped with these contradictory thoughts, if you have huge amounts of doubts in the form of feeling like a sense of, it's almost an emotion in and of itself, right? You're doubting that this can happen. You're confused. You're frustrated. You're constantly angry. That's subconscious resistance. That shouldn't be part of the process of using your ability to consciously create an intention or a goal that you have. So, just to give you some context, there are different forms of resistance. I will try and cover the basics here, but this will help you out. We can get resistance in the form of contradictory thoughts, which are kind of covered. So for example, if I'm going about my day and my intention is to be in the best health of my life, I might get a contradictory thought like, there's no way you're going to be healthy. You don't have the time to be healthy. How are you going to do this, right? I didn't consciously say that. That is a thought ruminating in my subconscious. So contradictory thoughts. Then we have physical resistance. So when you think about your goal, whether that's, for example, being with your partner and you're trying to visualize it and you feel, if you're conscious enough, you can feel like a tightness or a tugging in different areas of your body. Typically the forehead, right? The brow sort of begins to tighten, or the throat feels quite tight. It could be tightness in the chest, the solar plexus, or even the gut. That's another form of physical resistance. It's an uncomfortability with that outcome, right? Your body just, even though you consciously want to, your body does not want that to take place, physical resistance. Then we've got emotional resistance. So when again, you're going about your day and you have this intention and then suddenly you're swamped with frustration that it's not working, right? Why is this not working, right? Pretty simple. There's obviously a huge spectrum of emotions, but I think you know what I'm talking about. The next one is distraction-based behavior. So when you think about anything related to your intention, the business stuff and career stuff is quite common with this, where you've got an intention to grow your business. And as soon as you think about the intention, you get distracted. You go straight on your phone. You want to go on your phone. You want to go on the internet. You want to even dive into one of your, if you've got a vice, right? Whether it's alcohol, pornography, if it's drugs, whatever it is, smoking, you want to dive into that. But there's this sense of like distracting yourself with some form of behavior. All of this stuff is subconscious resistance, and it doesn't get talked about enough. Your subconscious runs 95% of what you think, feel, and do. So if we cannot dissolve this old form of resistance and your beliefs around what's possible, it's going to be impossible for you to move forward, to believe this is true, let alone actually create this. So here's the exercise. Super simple. I'm kind of diluting this so that you can do this and give this a try. All you do is you find somewhere quiet to sit, right, where you won't be distracted and where you can voice your intention out loud, and then you can notice what comes up in contrast to that in forms of resistance. So for example, if my intention was, I'm in the best health of my life, okay, that's what I would say. I would sit there and I would say, I am in the best health of my life. And I just sit with it and I notice any contradictory thoughts that come up in my mind. I just become aware, do I feel any physical resistance to that in my body? I notice any emotions that come up with that as well, any emotional reactions or any distraction-based behaviors where I feel like I want to go and do something when I think about this intention to keep my mind off it. And this is really helpful in one-to-one sessions. So I will do this where if we were to do this, we would do this back and forth and we would keep going and going and going to uncover all these different levels of resistance which have been holding you back. But what you can do on your own, if you say your intention out loud and you sit with it and you almost give a commentary. Okay, so if I have a contradictory thought come up, if I say, I am in the best health of my life, the thought might be, no, you're not. And I would say the thought, no, you're not. And then I'd go back and say my intention again. I am in the best physical health of my life. This time I'd commentate and notice I feel this sort of tugging in my solar plexus. And I would say, I feel this tightness in my solar plexus. And if it's related to that tightness or an emotion, you sit with it, right? If you feel, say, for example, a tightness in your solar plexus, you would place your attention on it and just let it be there. And you'll notice that it begins to dissolve. And as it does, you get this, what's called a parasympathetic breath, like a, you know, this breath, that breath that kids do when after they've been crying and then like hours later, they do like a, it's a parasympathetic reset because you're dissolving this resistance that's been holding you back. So same with emotions. So I go, I've done my intention once, there was a contradictory thought that came up and I say the contradictory thought. I say my intention again. This time I notice, I feel it, I say out loud, I feel this resistance in my solar plexus. And I sit with it. Then I go back to my intention again. I'm in the best physical health of my life. Another thought comes up. No, you're not. Okay, so I recommend doing this not for huge amounts of time because you can kind of get lost in it, but just 3-4 rounds of that, right? A couple of times a day to begin with will give you a really good idea of like, this makes sense. No wonder I've not been able to maintain the feeling that I can actually create this. Subconsciously, I don't believe it, right? So if you've been struggling with this stuff and you want some help uncovering this resistance because you've been at this, trying to create this change for months or even years, check out the link to work with me below. There is a link in the description and the comments, and I will take you through. What I will do is if you fill in the application, I will send you back a video-based proposal. So rather than feeling like I'm going to pin you into a corner in a sales call, that's not how I do this. You can fill the application in detail if you're someone who is struggling with resistance, if you can't feel your reality is real, if you're at the point of giving up and you're frustrated and you're tired, fill it in. I'll look at the questions and I'll send you back a video-based proposal based on how I think I can help you, and then we can go from there. Okay, I really hope this was helpful. Again, drop a comment below. Let me know if you've got any questions around this technique, and I'd be glad to answer them back. Just make sure it's nice and clear what you're struggling with or what you want more information on. I'll do my best to help you out. Take care. Speak to you soon.